Well, welcome to the 700 Club. According to the United Nations, the resolution that was passed last month, the old city of Jerusalem is occupied Palestinian territory. But the Jews who live there have a very different view. They say it's home.
Supporters of Israel say the UN resolution ignores more than 3,000 years of Jewish history. Chris Mitchell brings us the story from Jerusalem.
The UN Security Council resolution took the dramatic step of declaring all settlements in Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank, occupied Palestinian territory.
The Security Council specifically includes East Jerusalem, which includes the Old City. That encompasses the Temple Mount behind me, where King Solomon built the first Jewish temple 3,000 years ago. Jesus taught in the second Jewish temple about 2,000 years ago, built by King Herod. It also includes the City of David and Mount Zion, the location of the Last Supper. And below the Temple Mount is the Western Wall, where Christians and Jews from around the world come to pray.
We're going to continue to build, we're going to continue to be here, we're going to continue to enjoy the sun in the midst of the wind and the rain.
Moshe Kempinski is a shop owner in the Jewish quarter of the Old City, now considered illegal by the UN.
There's a whole different, almost jovial attitude to people who are coming here. They know why they're here, they know this is where they need to be, and they're sort of smiling and look at me. I'm the new criminal that's coming to occupy territory. This isn't occupied territory. This has been the place of God's presence and the place of his people for 3,000 years.
It was embarrassing that the United States abstained. I think it was almost unforgivable.
Former governor and presidential candidate Mike Huckabee told CBN News that the U.S. abstention betrayed its friend and ally.
The failure to veto the resolution at the UN was not only a slap in the face of our friend Israel, but it was a slap in the face of Donald Trump as well, leaving a mess that he will have to try to clean up.
Huckabee believes the incoming Trump administration will work to reverse the resolution.
I think ultimately it's going to be reversed because I expect that Donald Trump and his administration will make it very clear that if this kind of action against one of our allies is going to stand, again, an anti-Semitic act of hate, that if necessary, I mean, I'd like to see the president-elect say, we'll pull out of the UN.
Trump has already sent positive signals to Israel with the nomination of David Friedman as U.S. ambassador to Israel and calling for the U.S. embassy to be moved to Jerusalem. In the meantime, Kempinski says the UN resolution clarified even more why he's in the Jewish quarter.
In many ways, it's almost like I want to thank the UN for making it so clear that their position makes no logical sense, no historical sense, and my position getting up in the morning, coming to this place which they claim is occupied territory and returning to the place that we've been here for 3,000 years makes all the sense in the world.
And there could be more. In the last days of his administration, many fear President Obama might try another move to delegitimize Israel. The most likely opportunities would be at the upcoming Paris Peace Conference on January 15th, or some other resolution before the Trump inauguration on January 20th. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the Jewish Quarter, Old City, Jerusalem.
Well, this is a significant development. It happened right before Christmas Eve, right before the day before Hanukkah, and it has created a firestorm of controversy. Why in the world would the United States turn its back on its traditional ally? And understand, this is not some, redo of precedent at the UN. This is a brand new thing to say it's blatantly illegal. That's a direct quote from the resolution. It's blatantly illegal for Israel to occupy the East Jerusalem. Just start understanding what's involved in that. You're dealing with the Western Wall. You're dealing with the Temple Mount. You're dealing with the Jewish cemetery that has been there for centuries on the Mount of Olives. You're dealing with what we always have called the Jewish quarter. Now, go back in history, the Jewish quarter was obviously occupied by Jews, and you go back just 100 years and you find a very vibrant Jewish community there. That was all wiped out in 1949 by the Jordanians. They invaded as part of the 1948 war, and they took it all, and they took the entire West Bank. In 1967, that's when Israel took it back, and the Jewish quarter was once again populated by Jews. But under the Jordanians, what happened? You had an ethnic cleansing where the Jewish population in the Jewish quarter went down to zero. And you look at all the synagogues that were desecrated, the synagogues that were destroyed, the Jewish cemeteries where Jordanian soldiers built latrines on top of them. You get an idea of what would happen under a Palestinian rule of the same territory. That's not a future I want to see, and I'm just absolutely shocked. The United States, the State Department, our current administration would go along with that and say that this is all subject to bargaining and negotiation and is blatantly illegal. No, the Jews have a right to Jerusalem. It has been their city. It's been their city for thousands of years, and it needs to be undivided and the capital of Israel. Well, in other news, President-elect Donald Trump is meeting with intelligence chiefs today. He's being briefed about Russian interference in the U.S. election. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
Thanks, Gordon. Trump's made no secret of his skepticism of those claims. Intelligence officials say Russia hacked the DNC and other leading Democrats. But WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange says it received the material from another source, and that Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, had such an easy password, a teenager could have figured it out. House Speaker Paul Ryan says Trump is right to be concerned about partisans using Russian hacking to question the legitimacy of his victory. Trump has picked former Indiana Senator Dan Coats as the new director of national intelligence, though Coats has been a harsh critic of the Russian government. 4 black suspects face a judge today in Chicago. They're charged with a hate crime in the assault of a white man with special needs. The Chicago team streamed the brutal attack on social media. Charlene Aaron has the story.
Chicago police say felony charges are expected against the 4 who beat the 18-year-old man in an assault that was broadcast live on Facebook.
Look at him, tied up.
The video shows suspects Jordan Hill, Tesfaye Cooper, along with Brittany and Tanisha Covington, beating and taunting the man. The suspects can be heard in the video using racial slurs against whites and President-elect Donald Trump.
Say Trump.
Investigators call the vicious attack sickening, saying the assault went on for hours until police found the man disoriented and walking along a street.
Let me be very clear. The actions in that video are reprehensible. That, along with racism, have absolutely no place in the city of Chicago or anywhere else for that matter against anyone, regardless of their race, gender, state of mental health, or any other identifying factor.
Police say the victim, a suburban resident reported missing by his family, was held for 2 days, bound, beaten, cut with a knife, forced to drink toilet water, and verbally abused by his captors.
It appears that he was in that physical position, tied up in the corner, for about 4 or 5 hours.
It's terrible. And so part of what technology allows us to see now is the terrible toll that racism and discrimination and hate takes on families and communities.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Thanks, Charlene. Turning to other news, the South is bracing for a powerful winter storm this weekend, and people as far south as Alabama are gearing up. Alabama's governor issued a state of emergency to open its Emergency Operations Center Friday morning. He also put 300 National Guard soldiers at the ready. Other parts of the country like Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia are also preparing for the storm. Areas of North Carolina and Southeast Virginia could get up to 10 inches of snow. Terry, we'll send it back to you.
Well, I'm going to be building a snowman this weekend. I don't know about the rest of you, but might as well enjoy it if it's coming. Stay home if you can, because driving in it is a mess, as you could see.